Welcome to another video. Today's video is about futsal agility with and without ball, touches on the ball for players U9 through U12 in a training session by FTP. So as you can see in the video that already has started, coach is showing a basic activity of shuffling, which is a basic movement on a futsal court. As you can see, the player in the white is making the mistake of turning their body around as the coach has instructed them to face each other and shuffle, sort of shadowing if there is a attacker and a defender. So once again, the player in white is stopping and the coach is showing her to shuffle from side to side and shadow the opponent, which is the other player. The player is once again turning her body, and as you can see, she's all over, turning any which way she can. The second set of players are actually doing it correctly. Now, why is it important that a simple activity like this is part of the agility training? Well, in futsal, you have so much movement and directional change. And part of it is being able to track a player. Just like in soccer, body movement, position, balance are all very critical components on being able to move and defend a player, or to move, plant, and change directions. In a futsal court, though, it's magnified because everything happens much faster. The surface is harder. It's not turf. It's not grass. So the movement is more harsh, less forgiving. So once again, as you guys are watching the players, they're going through the activity. There's not, we are allowing them to go through the activity. We give them a little bit of coaching points. By the way, as the session progresses, for the time's sake, you'll see that basically we've taken out some parts with all the coaching points. Unfortunately, the coach was supposed to be mic'd up, but there was an error. We forgot to press the record button, so we cannot hear the coaching points live. So again, now the coach is basically instructing them to challenge them and do the same activity but backwards. At the same time, they should be checking the shoulder just like they're doing on the soccer field, to know where they are all time, to know where the obstacles are, where the space is. And if you watch their feet, every player is slightly different in the movement. Some of them are better than others. Some don't have as much balance as others. Once again, it doesn't matter if it's soccer, if it's futsal, if it's basketball. Any sport requires movement, balance, and being able to shift your weight from side to side to adjust to where you're going, to be able to plan and change directions. All sports that require movement, this is crucial. You have to practice on this. So as you watch the players going through them, these two players bumped into the barricades because, again, they weren't checking the shoulders, they weren't looking. So all this, as simple as it is, and most of the players here find it quite pleasing, and it's fun to do these kind of activities, right? But there's just so much substance into these movements, how they're shifting their feet, how they're planting, are they checking their shoulders? If you notice, some of them are checking and looking over, most of them are not. Most of these players, by the way, this is the first training session in the winter sessions, and most of these guys are coming from an outdoor soccer environment, this being their first training session. So we're going and getting through the session. We are making coaching points, which we've taken out of the video. However, do not think, well, they're not doing it perfect. That's okay. It's okay for them not to do perfect. It's okay for them to not plant and move and shift. It's okay. That's part of the learning curve. So the next step right now is we're introducing a ball. So now they got to do the movements dribbling with a ball. On the first sequence, they are moving and they are encouraged to use both feet, right and left, shift from outside part of the right foot to outside part on the left foot. It's a freestyle. There's not a lot of restrictions. And as you can see, some players are better than others at controlling the ball. At the same time, this one lost control and they knocked into the barricade. The difference between futsal and soccer, what makes futsal amazing development tool, is the fact that the surface is faster. It's more difficult to control the ball here than it is on a turf or a soccer field. So if you were to do the same activity on a turf or a soccer field, the players would have much easier time controlling the ball. Regardless of what their skill level is. Here on a futsal court, it's much more difficult. The futsal has so much control elements in it. You have to be able to touch the ball and be more of a finesse than being, a muscle player. So once again, they're going in and out. Some players are doing a great job shifting the ball from right foot to left foot. It's just an all-around a phenomenal activity, which again is very, very, very simple. Some of the best activities are done very, very simple. Now, this time around, the trainer is instructing the players to use the opposite foot of what they've been using. So if they've been using primarily their right foot, try to use more your left foot. Although the activity is to shift and go from right foot to left foot, some players are favoring the right foot. Some players, should I say, most players are favoring the right foot because they are righties, not lefties. So once again, the trainer is beginning to encourage them to use both feet. So simple activity, going in and out, controlling the ball, and it's pretty evident. There's a mixed group here, so you have U9 players or U12 players, intermediate to advanced players. Some of these players have been playing futsal quite a bit, so they kind of stand out. You can tell which ones have better touches on the ball than the others. So once again, it's a phenomenal, simple activity just to control the ball. Having the barricades and the cones instead of just having flat dots or cones on the ground, it forces the players not to go over the cones. When you're just using regular cones, a lot of players just going over the cones. The cones are representing basically defenders, right? Defenders, and they're supposed to avoid them and go around them. When you're just using cones or dots, as we call them in an indoor environment, a lot of players go over. They don't go around the cones. In other words, there's no way you can go over a defender unless you run into them and you power them and you foul them. You're supposed to go around them. So this kind of emphasizes that I got to go around. I got to go around. So now they're being asked to basically go towards the cone and then switch, move away. As you can see, the coach is stressing the fact, go to the cone and then use your right foot or your left foot to change direction. Um, this one out, we're trying to basically encourage players more and more to use the sole of their foot and do a kind of a pull back with the bottom of your foot, sole, and get around, change directions. Before, the activity was just to be freestyle, use any part of your foot, preferably, use both right and left foot. Now we're trying to show them, hey, use the bottom of your foot, use your sole. In futsal, using your sole of the foot is a great advantage because it's much easier to control the ball in futsal with the bottom of your foot than your instep or your outside part of your foot. And that becomes very easily transferable into the soccer training. So as they get better at using the bottom of their foot, and if you notice, a lot of South Americans, Spanish, Portuguese, Brazilians, players that have grown playing futsal in the high professional leagues, you also see those players in the outdoor soccer environment use their sole quite a bit. Iniesta comes to mind, one of the greats who played for Spain and Barcelona for many, many years. Xavi, same thing, another one. Magicians using, with technical ability. Messi, same thing. They use the bottom of their foot quite a bit on a soccer field. So as you can see and watch the activity progress, you'll notice that players are encouraged to use their sole more and more. Okay. Okay, so moving along, the coach is going to make some coaching points as far as what we just discussed. using sole and then pushing the ball outside with the left foot or the right foot to change directions. As you'll notice while they're doing this, in other words, go at the cone, use the sole, pull it back, and get away. Some of the players having a difficulty um, creating that move, and the biggest reason why is because they're just so used to using the right foot. Sometimes when they have to do the pullback move with the left foot, they are so uncomfortable in doing so that they have to kind of stop and think. Well, guess what? If you are an attacking player with a ball at your feet, the second you have to think about what you're going to do, the defender has the advantage. I repeat, when you have to think, what are you going to do? The defender has the advantage because in a split second, they can step in and steal the ball away from you. Once again, in a futsal environment, the speed is just so much faster. Everything happens faster. So you don't have the luxury of that at all. I mean, it's hard enough in soccer, but in futsal, even more difficult. So now we're moving to a little passing activity, two touch, passing the ball through the gates. As you can see, some players will have a more difficult time than others depending on their skill level and how much futsal they play. You'll see some players, they're using the bottom of the foot to control it, roll it to the other foot, pass it. Some players are only using their instep. The ones that are using their instep is because they're brand new to futsal and they really haven't had much um, time and coaching instruction to use their bottom of their foot. One other reason why we use the bottom of our foot in futsal is because, as we say, it kills the ball. When you use your instep to control the ball on a fast, hard surface, that ball may trickle away from you, make it more difficult to control. When you use the sole of your foot to control the ball stops immediately. Therefore, called it kills the ball. Okay, so once again, you're seeing as I'm talking through this activity. Some players are very good. These two players are very good. I'm moving up and down and passing the ball with the bottom of their foot, shifting from foot to foot. Other players are using only the instep of the foot and a little more difficult time in going through the gates. Again, we're not looking for perfection, by the way. As I keep saying in previous videos, these videos are not meant to show you guys how to do something to perfection. These are videos from weekly, daily training sessions that we have. So you see the good, you see the bad, you see the transition in getting better. It's not something where it has to be perfect. So although I appreciate sometimes the feedback that some leave on the videos, keep in mind that these kids are going through a training session to become better. So criticizing, oh, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. Well, the coach does know that. And, there has to be an improvement a little bit at a time. So once again, moving through the activity, back and forth with the gates. Like I said, with this white player, for example, is rolling the ball to the right, passing with the left. The one with having the white shirt and red pants on, or shorts, should I say, is part of the academy. So he trains with the academy for a while. There's a couple other players as well. And you can see the difference. Just watch their feet. Watch their feet and from player to player, from pair to pair. Some are much better than the others. Once again, getting back to the activity, something so simple. Now, we have gone to the second stage, right? The second progression. We started with just body movement, right? Very important. And then we introduced the ball. So now we have body movement, agility, balancing, changing direction, and at the same time, controlling the ball. Okay. So we included three things right now. First, I'm sorry, this is actually the fourth. I apologize. The third was just free dribbling. This one is actually passing. So, as fun of an activity as this may be, and believe me, most of players that do these activities, they always comment how much fun it was. Subconsciously, their development is really skyrocketing. I cannot emphasize enough the testimonials that parents come back and give us year after year, season after season. My daughter, my son went outside to play soccer, and it was just amazing the difference from one season to the other. And it's no secret. I mean, we don't have any secret sauce really. It's just simple activities done over and over and over in a very fast environment. It's much more difficult to play futsal, controlling the ball, than it is to play soccer. So if you start a player at a younger age, therefore, a lot of the South American countries, Europe, some of the European countries, Portugal, Spain, Italy, France, countries that play futsal, they start their kids first on futsal. At 5 years old, 4 years old, they're on a futsal court touching a ball, and they don't go out to start playing soccer until they're like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. So again, there is a reason why futsal is recognized not only as a fantastic individual sport, but also as a huge development tool that provides a massive advantage to soccer players. So as you guys are watching the players go up and down, I hope you can, and as you're listening to me talking, you guys can see the difference in the players' touches. Okay. Now we're going to move forward, and as you guys see, we'll go to one touch. That's the next challenge. So the progression is always challenging the players. So now, once again, they're moving, and we challenge them to do it in one touch. The best way to control the ball and have success in this is if you were to be able to use your soul. Once again, as you guys will see, some players will use their soul, some players will use their instep. The ones that are using the instep is probably the ones that are not comfortable yet with their soul. First time in a futsal environment, you cannot hear the coach encourage them, but the coach is always telling them to use soul as much as possible. Again, it takes time to have something be told to you to actually apply it into your technique, and the time varies basically on individual players. There is no cookie cutter system. Some players grasp it quicker than others. Usually, the players that have better technique, a better skill level, are the ones that will adapt to that much quicker than the players that are of lower skill level. But overall, every player that you can have 10 boys of the same age, exact same age, and 10 girls of the exact same age, and every player will develop at his or her own speed. That's the beauty about development. Unfortunately, a lot of times in sports, we put players in a cookie cut scenario, and that's not really an accurate development um, perspective. Every player should be treated individually, not as a whole, because not everybody develops at the same speed. So once again, now you can see like some of these two players did a very good job of using their soul. These two players are doing a good job of using their soul. So the coach now is reinforcing and pushing the fact, hey, use the bottom of your foot as much as you can. And the players are adapting and slowly being more comfortable and start using the bottom of their feet. But again, it's movement. They have to adjust their bodies to where their next pass is going, and then try to make a quality pass. Some of the players, their touch is a little too strong. Why? Because they're going from a soccer environment where it requires a stronger touch, because they're playing on turf or grass, to a faster surface, which is futsal. So futsal is more finesse. So once again, I want to emphasize the fact of there are a bunch of variables into this activity, as simple as it may be. We started with just body movement, okay, agility, being able to shift your weight from side to side. Um, Something so simple as shadowing or tracking a player in a futsal environment is overlooked. When you go on a basketball environment, there's a lot of emphasis being placed on being able to mark a man to man, shadowing a player. Okay, um, in soccer, shadowing a defender becomes, something where you may shadow a player a few steps, and then usually, if a player tries to outrun you, you basically turn to the side, and you're kind of running next to that player, because again, you have more room. In futsal, you don't have as much room. So being able to shadow somebody, by in a good manner, in a good way, right? Being able to shift your weight from side to side, being able to adjust, planting your foot, cut, change direction, regardless if you are on the defensive side or the attacking side, is very important. Nevertheless, you progress, you add touches on the ball, and then passing. Please check out the other videos